Oh, shoot. Okay, hold on. There we go. Hello, unstoppable real estate investors. I'm so excited that you are all here with us today. We will be interviewing Jen and Ryan LeViseur.
Yeah, very nice.
Did I say it right?
Close enough.
Yeah, you French it up. It's usually just LeViseur. So yes, you made it
LeViseur. Okay. And they are just an adorable couple full of vitality and enthusiasm. And so I'm looking forward to interviewing you guys. So every Wednesday at noon, we had podcasts. I'm always experimenting in my group. So we had podcasts going on Mondays, Mindset Marketing Mondays, and we had our main podcast, Top 5 Percenters, people who have made it in real estate, on Wednesdays. And then on Fridays, we were doing a member spotlight, and I'll experiment with things for a while, see what's working, what's not, make changes accordingly. We're going to keep it really simple and just stick to this most popular one. It's the Wednesday podcast. So I'm glad you guys joined my community. I'm glad you took us up on the invitation to do the podcast. Just curious, why is it that you guys thought, yeah, let's do a podcast? What you said earlier about getting out of your comfort zone. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think this year we're just, we're really trying to build up part of our business. And so we've realized we need to really kind of get traction for our personal branding as well as our company branding, and to just talk about what we do to people who we think would be good for our network and connect with more people. So definitely hopping out of our comfort zone.
Exactly.
And Brian, anything you want to add to that, or what she said?
Yeah, what she said. No,
Yeah.
Basically what she said though, but especially me, I'm a very introverted person. So the whole networking aspect of things is typically difficult for me. So yes, this year we have been very much stretching those comfort zones and getting out there and meeting new people and trying to get additional exposure.
All right, now that I'm done playing with my hair, I always love having introverts because it is good for you, because you are getting exposure, but it's just us right now. You don't see all the people that are going to see this. They're going to see it after the fact, or maybe there's some people joining us live, but you don't have to see any of that. So it's just one-on-one, which introverts are really good about. Well, it's 2-on-1, but yeah. So let's start with your journey. Like, what were you guys doing before real estate?
So sure. So I work in IT security, and I had a job doing that. She and I have had a couple of different businesses before this, from web design to
Selling on Amazon.
selling stuff on Amazon, had a couple of private label products. But I always kind of knew that I wanted to do something that was more real estate focused, and eventually get into investing in more real estate. So we had heard about short-term rentals and decided to take a course and sign up for it and see if it was worth pursuing. And we gave it a shot and have just kind of been taken off from there.
So you were serial virtual entrepreneurs looking
Yes.
for your thing, and you
Yeah.
were
Right.
experimenting, and then you knew eventually you would end up in real estate. Is that
Yes.
right? Yeah. Jen, anything you want to add to that?
I don't think so. I mean, like he said, we were selling on Amazon, and he went to a conference for Amazon sellers. And while he was there, he heard a guy speaking about short-term rentals for his talk, and then he went and met him, and then that's just kind of how it snowballed from there.
Okay. Yeah. How did you guys do on Amazon? How long were you guys doing that?
We did it for about a year and a half or so.
Yeah.
had its ups and downs. Some products did pretty well. Like we did a lot of arbitrage stuff, and then we also did private label stuff. The arbitrage was pretty good around Q4, when everybody's buying everything for Christmas. The private label side of things, I did fairly
They're pretty good.
decent.
We had baby blankets and we had beard care products
Yeah,
as well.
and so
I,
Were you the tester of those products, Ryan?
oh yeah.
I was. Yes.
Make sure that they worked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, so talk to me about how you tiptoed into real estate, because there's a lot of ways to make money in real estate. There's wholesaling, there's rehabbing, there's buy and holds, there's arbitraging Airbnb, there's short-term rental, long-term rental, there's carrying notes, there's private money lending, there's, tax liens, there's buying land there, there's just so much you can do in real estate. So tell me how it is you guys found your niche.
Sure. Okay. Well, so really, like I said, he talked to this guy at a conference, and the man said, "This is the first business I've ever gotten into that was profitable in its first month." And so Ryan was like, "This is interesting." So we started the course. We had actually just moved to a new state when we were deciding we were going to launch this. And so we started out doing rental arbitrage. We found an owner who had a 3-bedroom, 1.5 bathroom house where we live in Northwest Arkansas. And he, let us do it, let us do our short-term rental business in his unit. And that's where we started.
You started arbitraging
Yep.
Airbnb.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and that's what we have 10, we still have 10 arbitrage units right now.
So
And-
talk about why arbitrage, how it was that's where you started, because there's a lot of people that don't know what arbitrage is. So talk about that and why that was the way in for you.
So we needed something that wasn't going to require a huge upfront cost. Sure, we had done a couple of different businesses of our own on the side, and I had my full-time job, but we didn't have, a large chunk of money to put down for like a down payment on a property. And at the time, we didn't know anything about creative financing. So we were looking for something that would have a low upfront cost, a little bit easier to get in the door. And so we went with arbitrage, which essentially is we went out, we found somebody that was renting their property as a traditional long-term rental. We explained to them what our business model was, and we signed a lease with them. And then we turn around. And so we signed a normal 1-year lease with them, and then turn around and rent it out as a short-term rental. We furnish it and design it and then rent it out.
Okay, so you did that as your very first real estate deal.
Yes.
And
then,
how did that go? Like that was your learning curve, that very first one. So talk about the ups and downs of that. Like, did it go smoothly? Were you made for it? Was it pretty easy? Because there was an outlay of cash. What did you do? Buy used furniture, get a staging company, just rent the furniture? Talk a little bit about the details of how you did that and how you, all the details of how that worked.
right. So we took a small personal loan to furnish it and stand up this first unit. And then we worked with a designer that we had known through one of our mastermind groups that we had joined for short-term rentals. So we worked with that designer. She came out, helped us, stand everything up, order the furniture, and get us up and running. And then that first unit, it went fairly well. We had a decent location close to, we're in Northwest Arkansas, so Walmart is headquartered here. So our first location was literally like 2 blocks from their main
building.
IT location. where all of the IT workers are headquartered out of. So we did fairly well with that one.
Did you find you
Definitely.
had a lot of Walmart employees Airbnb it?
Surprisingly, we didn't have a lot of the IT folks there, but we got more people that were working for vendors that would come to service Walmart. They would stay there.
Yeah.
And then we
So
also,
that's quite a little niche, right?
Yeah, that was, yeah.
Yeah.
And then a few months later, we added 2 more units, but those were downtown and those like killed it. And then we added another one and then we just kind of kept adding.
And all of these first 10 were all arbitrage.
Yes.
And then when did you start to, so was that, you were happy with that model? Or did you always intend to eventually own some yourself?
so the intent was always to build up cash flow so that we could then eventually purchase our own properties. We definitely learned a lot of lessons along the way with arbitrage. And have since
Yeah.
kind of moved away from that, but
So talk about that. Talk about a couple of the lessons and why you've moved away from that model.
well, so early on, we just kind of had this, I guess, mindset of we needed to just get more units and scale. And we didn't have as much emphasis on really knowing our numbers as well as we should have. So some of the deals that we did, the units that we picked up did not pencil out as well as they should have, and they didn't perform as great as they should have.
Yeah.
And then not only did we learn that it's kind of important to make sure that we underwrite how they're going to perform a lot better, but also figuring out what our timeline to recoup our investment, our initial upfront investment on those units is, and make sure that aligns with our leases. One of the downsides of arbitrage is, unfortunately, apartment buildings get sold sometimes multiple times, and those new owners always have a new opinion as to whether or not they want to allow people to do short-term rentals in their units. And so we had 5 units here in Arkansas that we lost because both of the buildings that those were in, they eventually sold and they didn't want to renew our leases. So on some of those, we lost a little bit of money just because that timeline to recoup our investment wasn't.
What a bummer. Boy, those are
Yeah.
valuable lessons. So
Yeah.
what did you learn from that, and how did you I'm letting a guest in, sorry, it's a distraction. Hey, Andrew. So when that happened, when the renters, the landlord sold those apartments and you lost that, how did you use that lesson to learn, and what did you do differently because of it?
Well, we definitely learned the importance of knowing and evaluating the numbers up front a lot better. And so we've implemented much more thorough underwriting of our units before we kind of pursue them. But in addition to that, we've also, not necessarily because of that issue alone, but we've also moved away from arbitrage in general, and we're focused more on kind of acquiring our own properties, building
So that was your point of entry, and you've evolved past it. And would you say the main reason because I know you still have about 10 arbitrage, but would you say, will you keep renewing the leases of those 10 that you're doing now, or are you eventually wanting to ease out of them completely?
So it's about half and half right now.
Yeah.
Those 10 are split across 2 different apartment complexes in Dallas, Texas. One apartment complex it's been a great relationship with the management there. They've been performing very well, so we'll likely continue to keep renewing that as much as we can. The other complex has been a little bit tricky to work with at times, given their management and their turnover in management, and
The building has challenges.
yeah, so we'll likely look at trying to shut those down and move out of those.
Um,
those
just
five.
curious, like part of the model, I would think also the challenge with arbitrage is if you are gonna sign a lease is making sure you find out the intention of that owner, because you're in a lease with them and then you find out that they're, because you're investing a lot to get
Right.
a unit up and running, and then for them to sell it out from under you,
Right.
is a bit disruptive, I would think. So, when did you start how long have you guys been doing this anyway? 4 or 5 years? Something
Almost
like that?
6
Almost 6 years. It'll be 6
Almost
years in
six-
November. Mhm.
6 years. And how long ago was it that you started shifting the model from arbitrage to, okay, we're gonna start owning now?
Well, I think we stopped. So we acquired our last set of arbitrage, what, 2 year and a half ago?
About 2.5 years.
Okay. And so that at that point we decided we weren't going to do more of those. And so we were kind of focusing on both purchasing, so looking for a market, right, to buy, which was kind of tricky because we had looked at different places and they were anyway, 2021 we were looking like the mountains of Georgia, and like the market was insane. Like we were putting offers on stuff and it was just, everything was going and we weren't getting anything. So
Yeah.
we just kind of had to like pump the brakes and really focus on what markets made sense and where like they would be profitable, and also seasonality, like where could we go that wasn't dependent upon it being, nice weather and worrying about it getting booked. So that's what we started doing, is doing research on where to purchase for ourselves, and then also reaching out and trying to start expanding our our management side. So managing other people's short-term rentals and vacation rentals.
And how many states are you guys in right now?
2 right now.
Mhm.
We're in Arkansas and Texas.
Okay, but you do want to branch out into other states?
Yes.
Oh yeah. Because we've developed the systems that we have now, we're able to really set up shop in any market.
And what do? Get boots on the ground locally?
We do.
Yeah, we build out a team locally, build out cleaners. So we have multiple cleaners to rely on there. Then we'll also get kind of like an operations person that helps with, restocking inventory and keeping track of inventory, doing quality control checks, helping coordinate maintenance, et cetera, et cetera.
When you say restock inventory, what do you mean by that?
Like consumable items, like, we provide coffee, tea,
Got it.
Toilet paper,
toilet paper, toiletries.
Got it. Okay. Yes, yeah, the day-to-day creature comforts. Yeah.
Right.
So you kind of have your own property manager, ops person that.
Correct.
In each market. So there's a
it.
local person there to address any issues.
Now, is it the management of things that you guys enjoy, or do you think eventually you'll delegate that at some point?
I think.
Well, I think the ultimate goal is to build the business large enough that we have the teams that we can delegate
Under-
a lot of day-to-day
Under your roof,
teams.
you would, so ultimately you'll build a property management company. And you'll
Correct.
train a team in your own property management company. So ultimately, the business model you're building is a property management company of acquiring your own properties, easing away from arbitrage, owning your own properties, and then also managing other investors' properties.
Correct.
That's right.
Okay. Yeah, that is a really good service to provide investors specifically, because there's so many shitty property management companies out
Yeah.
there.
Oh, we know.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
We know, yeah.
There really is. And
Yeah. There
yeah,
are.
yeah, I worked at Fortune Builders for a while. I don't know if you guys have heard of them. And they're a big educational company. Lots COVID changed how they do things now, but I was there a coach there for 5 years, and they had one of the benefits to students that invested in their educational system was the passive income club. And when Than Merrill, the CEO, when they were thinking about setting that up, and the passive income club would go find properties, do all the turnkey part of acquiring the property, getting it under contract, closed, and ready to rent, and then property management of that property for Fortune Builder students. And it was part of the service. And the only way that model was going to work is if they had A+ rated property management companies that they could really count on, because otherwise the whole model is contingent on that. And that is huge. It really is a huge piece. I have a coaching client that just went through hell with a property management company that was so unethical and caused her a lot of stress. And she eventually moved and bought her own place. But I mean, moved from one state across country to another state, but she had to take them to small claims court. And it was just a big hassle and a lot of stress, just because they were crooks, basically,
Yeah.
and that's all done now. But that's a stressful element of it. So what is it about the management piece that you guys like so much?
What do you think? What do
Well-
you like? I like the hospitality part of it, and like interacting with guests, and for like providing a great quality experience for people, right? Because
You're the hostess with
want
the
that,
most.
yeah, this is who doesn't want that great experience when you stay somewhere? That's the whole point of booking a place, especially for vacation. But even
Yeah,
if you're business, like you want to stay at a good place.
Right. And
Well, yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think that hotels just,
Oh yeah,
it gets tiring, going to the same boring place and like.
well, they have an air of luxury, but there's also an air of homogenization and corporate feel. I prefer Airbnbs. In fact, I live in Asheville, North Carolina, and I just did one Airbnb overnight down in Charleston because I have friends that are moving from Charleston back to San Diego, and they're like, hey, come to our going away party. And I found this great gal. She's only been doing Airbnb for a couple of months, and she was phenomenal. She has this little townhouse tucked away in North Charleston. And it's interesting, I would never do this. She actually shares a room in the home that she lives in.
Oh, yeah.
But she said it works for her because privacy's never been a thing for her, and she's social, and she had lost her job due to a car injury, hurting her back and stuff, and she had friends asking her to kind of stage and decorate places for them to Airbnb, so she kind of stumbled into it. And then it was a great way for her to transition while she was healing from her accident. And she rents her extra bedroom, and her place is immaculate. She's lovely, just the whole thing. And you can tell it's a self-expression for her, that she really enjoys it. And it was just delightful. It's like, I have to go back to Charleston. I'm staying with her again. It was just really, it was, but that was an unusual experience because you're like in the house with that person. And I know other people who do that too. Like for me, I have long-term rentals that, like, my basement of my house is all refinished. I have another guest room, and I'm putting cottages on my property. But so what's next, guys? What's the evolution? Where is the big vision for you guys? Where do you see yourself, say, 3-5 years from now? Where would you like to be?
Well,
Ryan has thoughts.
yeah, so we're continuing to scale the management side of the business, focusing on onboarding new clients and investors to manage for. We are currently onboarding a hotel to manage as well.
Right on.
Yeah. And then we'll continue to purchase additional properties and hopefully be purchasing a hotel for ourselves to kind of renovate and manage as well.
How cool.
Next
How
3 to 5
fun.
years, hopefully we'll be, what is it, hoteliers?
Yeah, hoteliers.
Okay, so look, let me ask you, if you had what would you say your biggest challenge has been through your journey so far? Where's been the biggest learning curve for you?
Probably say COVID. COVID was a big wrench thrown in everybody's path. I mean,
For short-term rentals.
yeah, we really had to be very agile there and
Pivot quickly.
pivot quickly in order to keep enough revenue coming in to keep the lights on. So
Yeah. We pivoted to midterm rentals basically. And some of the units we've kept that way really since, but yeah, COVID was hard.
yeah.
Yeah, good for you. Good for you for surviving it. And so let me ask you, if you were to jump up on a rooftop and you had a captive audience that you could give advice to and share wisdom with, what would your rooftop message be? I want to hear from each of you. Ryan?
Oh.
It might be similar, but go ahead.
I'd probably say, a lot of people, although the two are there's a lot of overlap between real estate and short-term rentals or whatnot. Short-term rentals are less of a real estate business and more of a hospitality business. Yeah, people.
Yeah, that was my
You have,
message.
yeah, you have to be liking people and wanting to interact and nurture and take the feedback and make them more comfortable.
Yeah,
Right.
anticipate their needs and
Yeah.
Swallow your pride and kind of.
Do you think that's why you like it so much? Is it's not just real estate investing? There's this personable element to it.
I think I like the service part of it. I think I love giving gifts to people and just making people feel like at home and at ease and welcome. So I think and I'm extroverted. So that's also part of that as well for me.
Yeah.
Love that. Anything else? Do you have an ask, a pitch, anything that before we wrap up that you want to share?
I think if any investors or property owners are looking to see what potential their properties can do as short-term rentals, then we'd love to chat with them. We provide free property analysis and also market analysis. So we'd love to hear from people if they, would like to pursue that avenue.
Yeah.
Or if they have a current short-term rental and need quality management people. That's us.
So if you do want to connect with Jen and Ryan, tag them in your comments so that they see it. And Jen and Ryan, if you want to put any contact information or links or anything, once we post this live, once it goes live, once we're done, because we're live streaming right now, and go back in the group, go ahead and put any links or comments or anything you want to in there. But otherwise, tag Jen and Ryan LeViseur for if you want them to manage property, or if you want to just talk to them about what they've done and get ideas because you want to do something similar, please reach out to them or reach out to me, and we'll be happy to get you connected and learning from them or working with them. I want to thank you both so much. You're delightful guests. It was so much fun having you. How did you enjoy being on a podcast? How was that for you guys?
Yeah, it was fine.
It wasn't as bad as
it wasn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
Well,
good. Thanks for
All
having
right. Yeah, it was fun hearing your story. I'm so glad you're in our community. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. Everybody, take action, no excuses. Go out there and get results. Be unstoppable. I'm Rayanna Starr. That concludes this episode of Unstoppable Real Estate Investor Podcast. Advice from the top 5%. Bye, guys. Thanks so much. Katie will send you in an email a copy of the video for you to use however you want to. Okay.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.